today I want to finally compare the watercolor pencils. I am quite excited myself because whenever I do comparison videos, I discover something new. And although I know what to expect already, I am pretty sure there's going to be a surprise or two on the way. So, of course, we're going to be looking at the Caran Museum Aquarelle, which I believe are the best watercolor pencil out there, and that opinion comes from what I need to create or how I like the pencils, the watercolor pencils, to behave. Therefore, they fit my needs in the exact way. So that's one pencil we're going to look at. We're also going to look at two of the Faber-Castell pencils. We're going to look at their artist grade range and their student grade. So the student grade is Goldfaber Aqua, and then their artist grade is Albrecht Dürer. So I only have 3 pencils in each, and these are jumbo, so these are the extra thick pencils. They're also the regular Albrecht Dürer watercolor pencils. And finally, so that's going to be 3 pencils here, and then the 4th contender is going to be this one here, which comes in this beautiful box that I treated myself to years ago. But I haven't used much of these pencils, and in fact they were my only kind of experience with watercolor pencils for a very long time, and I wasn't too impressed, and always thought of watercolor pencils to be this kind of very subtle way of, you know, laying pigment, and then it sort of becomes a bit watery. So that wasn't really a thing for me, again purely because of what I like to create. This can suit many artists out there. And it was only until I discovered these pencils that I totally fell in love with watercolor pencils, and hopefully you'll see why. There's nothing wrong with any of these pencils. They are beautiful quality. They're all, you know, top pencils from top brands, so there's nothing wrong with them. It's just that the way I like to work with color and pigment is that I like to have quite an impact, and that seems to be fulfilled by these pencils. On top of that, I think I will also throw in a couple of the other Derwent pencils, because Derwent has the widest range of all sorts of different ranges of pencils, and the 2 water-soluble pencils that I have are Graphitint, which are tinted water-soluble graphite pencils, and then these are professional quality. And then I also have their Inktense pencils, which were the very first pencils I ever got to know, and these almost feel vintage to me because they're like 10, maybe more, 10 plus years since I bought them. So the Inktense are water-soluble ink pencils, so basically they do have that color, and in fact I absolutely love these pencils because they deliver a similar color impact to these pencils. But the color range is slightly different. Okay, so we'll do these 2 pencils at the end, as they are technically not watercolor pencils, but they are water soluble, and I think it would be good to see them in this comparison, just to see what the difference is between them. For my paper, I will use this sketchbook, which is by Jackson's, and it is 35% cotton. It's a, I think it's a mixed media watercolor paper, and it's 160 GSM. So I have gone through the same paper but in a smaller format, and I absolutely loved it, and this is why I then ended up buying this bigger format. Okay, so that's the paper I will be using, so that you know. And now let's start. I think I will leave these to the end, just so that you can see the impact of them. So I'll start by swatching out these Goldfaber Aqua. They're by Faber-Castell. And yeah, you will see that they're quite pretty. The colors, I'm trying to think. Unfortunately, I can't see the color name on here, but there's the numbers. So we have 130, 131 and 132. So here I went for a blush and lip, kind of peachy pink color scheme. So let's go ahead and swatch them. I just found the sort of all the swatches I did, and it seems that the numbers or the names are not printed on the actual pencil, but I think I found them somewhere else, and they are light flash, medium flash, and apparently dark flash, which yeah, that doesn't look like dark flash to me, but anyway, so let's go ahead and just swatch them. So let's start with this first color, the 132. I'm going to create large-ish swatches. So that was 131 and this is 130. So this seems to be the darkest one right in the middle here. Okay, then we have the Faber-Castell artist grade pencil, which is the Albrecht Dürer in Magnus, so the chunky pencil. I've got a white here, which we'll probably won't see, but it feels like there is a lot more pigment. They feel a lot creamier when they go down, which basically to me means that they will be more pigmented. I don't know if you can see the difference or not, but it definitely feels creamier. When it goes on paper, it actually feels quite similar to how the Museum Aquarelle feel by Caran. It sort of grips, the pigment grips much better to the paper. These felt a lot sort of drier, and these feel good. Also, the fact that they're jumbo, like big pencils, they will have a bigger lead, so if you want to cover a larger area, a nice big pencil would be a good idea. So I will go ahead, write down the names, and we will then use water. I have gone ahead and double checked because I couldn't believe that this is supposed to be medium flash and this is supposed to be dark flash, although you can see this is actually the medium color in between those two, so this is the darker one. And I even like started writing medium here, so obviously I don't know, I wasn't sure, so I double checked, and yes, so open stock the 132 is light flash, 131 is medium flash, although it's the darkest out of the three, but don't ask. 130 is the dark flash. So obviously these days we would imagine a different color tone for dark flash, but it doesn't make much sense even applied to Caucasian skin color this to be the dark. Yeah, so let's just now kind of add water and see how the pigment behaves. Okay, so I had to bust out my studio lights because I think this is the time of the year now where the lighting is very unreliable. 1 second it looks so sunny and perfect and the lighting is just, you know, impeccable. And then the other second it just starts to drop. So anyways, here are the studio lights, and hopefully now there won't be too much of a drop in the lighting. So let's go ahead and just kind of use a bit of the water to move the pigment around and see what happens. I don't remember now if I said about the white and the Venetian red and cobalt green. Those are the other 3 colors. I'm leaving a little touch of the actual pencil here because sometimes the colors can really change a lot when adding water. So they're not bad at all, but they do not give as much. I don't know if you can see the white, but it's very white. Here on the brush you can see. Actually, doing the white pencil comparison video, I realized that's the only pencil I forgot to include, which is a bit of a shame, but anyway, it's a good one. So here we have the Venetian red and the cobalt green. Lovely colors. So these are very comparable quality wise, which is the pigment strength, to the Museum Aquarelle. Now these could be, of course, you know, you could argue that these colors are just different in general. They're not the identical colors to compare side by side, but it's the way the pencil feels when it's dry on paper, and it's the way the pigment melts. So if I show you like very light colors here from Museum Aquarelle, they still behave different to that. But having said that, if you know someone who's a beginner or yourself, and you would like to add a large set of affordable student grade pencils, I think they are a good pencil to go for. These are the only 3 colors I have tried. I haven't tried any of their darker colors. I haven't tried any of their brighter colors to tell you more, but this is what they behave like. Okay, so now let's look at the, where did I put it over here? The Derwent watercolor pencils that came in this cute little wooden box. And this time I'll try to find similar colors to, I guess, to these. There is a white one here. Oh, that's another white I didn't include in the white pencils. Then we have this color, which is terracotta, and like a turquoisey color that I have in this set is Kingfisher Blue. Not a color I like, so I don't know. Maybe instead I'll swatch a pink one. This one here, Rose Pink. Let's go with that color palette. That suits me much better. So this tin included, let's see, 24 pencils. And let's start with the white, just up here. Oh, this feels actually really good as well. Very similar to the Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer. Also with, you know, watercolor pencils and in general pencils, paper matters a lot, so they can look quite different and behave quite different on different papers, and they may look a lot worse on some papers than others. And swatching these now, I'm actually more happier with them than I was before. Now it could be that I'm on a different art journey and I didn't like the look back then, and I'm much more familiar now with pencils in general. Or it could be that I was just using a different paper. So make sure you try your pencils and watercolor pencils on different papers and find the paper that works best. Paper that I really like it on is Mixed Media Strathmore. That works really, really well. I think it's series 500 if I'm not mistaken. So straight away these crumble a lot more, so you can see hopefully all the crumbs here. So the color we have is Chinese white, rose pink and terracotta. Okay. So this white feels also quite opaque and lovely. White obviously would be good to swatch out on something dark. This one feels, it sort of goes into almost not much color, even though it's a light color. But yeah. Oh, this one is quite good, the terracotta. Very, very pretty. And actually very comparable to the Museum Aquarelle. And you'll see what I mean soon, because it has that sort of like a milky, creamy texture, which is exactly what this is. So now let's go ahead and find similar colors. Well, is there a point to do white? Instead of the white, let's do a few different colors. So we've got some terracotta here. I actually have a terracotta. Let me find terracotta. There we go, terracotta. And I think I will use the kind of like a teal color here, light malachite green. So the first one we have is light flesh 10%, which I think is good comparison to this one. They'll be color-wise, they'll be different, but you'll see how much more pigment this one has. It grabs onto the paper like butter. I'd say very similar to the Derwent watercolor and Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer, but even more. It almost feels like a wax crayon when going onto the paper. And then let's try this terracotta. Of course, like I said before, it matters what you expect from your pencils and how you like using them. So if you like your watercolor pencils to still have that pencil texture and not go into this, you know, full kind of watercolor effect, then of course you would go for something different, or something that fills the bill. Anyway, so let's just title them quickly. Alright, so I'll try to zoom you in a bit so you can see more what's going on here once I start introducing the water. So look at that. Can you see how it just, instead of seeing the paper and kind of hardly any pigment, although it's a light one, but it's just beautiful. It lays so evenly. It doesn't separate much from the water. So here, they're quite comparable. You can see, hopefully, even here, you can still see that sort of a bit of a pencil marking underneath, but here it's just pure watercolor. Let's look at light malachite green. You see how all the pencil marks underneath, they just go. And to me, I love that. Again, personal needs and personal expectations. So totally look at these with an open mind and with what you like to create and how it would fit you. So we have got here 6 different types of watercolor pencils. Now let's look at water-soluble pencils with a bit of a touch of something different. So